good evening, and welcome to the 23rd Annual Tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. My name is Ann McAndrews. I'm a trustee with the Village of Larchmont, and I'm serving as your MC and general bottle washer for this evening. We're having a change in the order of our program for a very simple reason. It's a school night. And so, before my whole welcome, we are going to start with the Saints John and Paul Choir singing the Negro National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. The words are in your program booklet. This is an anthem, so consequently, everybody, please stand. Now, with the conductor's permission, we all know what's in the news today. God is not showing his mercy to Haiti. So I would like us all just to take a few moments of silence and remember our brothers and sisters there. Thank you.
And good evening once again. I think we can do a little better of that with the spirit of what we're celebrating. Good evening once again. Good evening. And yes, we are the Saints John and Paul chorus. This is our choristers and our adult chorus right behind them. This evening we have two selections for you. One being a South African traditional tribal song entitled Siso Hamba Naye, which means we are on the Lord's road. Amen? Amen. And the second one, Down by the Riverside. First one sung by our choristers from the mouths of babes, the second one by our adult ensemble.
So
gonna lay down my sword and shield
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield.
Down by the riverside,
I'm standing
here war no more.
proceed, there are a few housekeeping announcements that I have to make. Specifically, that emergency exit in the rear is to be used only for an emergency, narrowly defined. You know about the change in the program. Unfortunately, this year, we cannot have a reception, a traditional reception out in the foyer. We are now in the midst of a construction site, so unfortunately, we simply can't do it this year. Great hopes for next year. I guess I should make the typical announcement now. Please turn off all cell phones. Thank you. I'm going to skip the specifics of naming each and every public official who is here for a very simple reason. There are a lot of them, and also we want to proceed with our wonderful program. But I would, before doing that, I'd like to ask the audience here to understand the tremendous effort and the number of hours that goes into the political life of these three communities, the villages of Larchmont and Mamaroneck and the town of Mamaroneck. And everyone who's here who serves you really deserves a round of applause. So I'm going to ask you all Next, we hear from the string quartet from Mamaroneck High School. They're going to play a folk melody called The Hope. mention that this is the 23rd annual tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King. Into the mic. How did this begin? How has it lasted 23 years? I'm asking one of our community gems, Cora Rust, to explain what this evening is all about. Cora?
I'm okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome again. It is indeed a very special privilege for me to be before you at this 23rd annual event honoring the memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. For some of us, and one of the persons who was here at the beginning that I worked with is Andrea Potash. And I'd like to salute to Andrea, because we worked very hard at the beginning, the first events of this commemoration. And for some of us, it's probably hard to believe that 23 years have passed since the very first program, which was at the time when the Human Rights Commissions of the 3 municipalities separately and together sponsored this event. Here we are once again at the Emelin, continuing our tribute. What is the evening about? This evening, first of all, is a tribute to the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., who gave his life battling racism, poverty, and war. It is a tribute to Dr. King, who awakened us, raising all of our conscience, the conscience of all of us, to come forth and work to eliminate racism, poverty, and war. The greater part of this evening will be spent in a celebration of the life and work of Dr. King, with a keynote address by the Honorable Andrea Stewart Cousins, a member of the New York State Senate and of the County of Westchester's Human Rights Commission. Happily, we are also here to celebrate the achievements of an individual, Mother Jackson, and an organization, Kids for World Health, both who exemplify the philosophy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This evening, we also recognize Beverly Brewer-Villa, who, in her dedication and professional performance, fully answered Dr. King's question, why, what are you doing for others? But let us not ignore the fact that this evening should also serve as a reminder that there is still much to be done. To realize Dr. Martin Luther King's dream, proclaimed approximately 47 years ago. In spite of increased economic gain, wider participation in private and public spheres, in spite of a Latina Justice of the Supreme Court, an African-American president, we are still faced with issues of domestic and global racism and poverty and war. Too many of our children are still not brought together to walk hand in hand, regardless of the color of their skins. So as we celebrate this evening, let us not forget to continue the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our work. Let us, as President Barack Obama said so eloquently at Oslo, let us search for that spark of the divine within each of our souls as we continue to strive in the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to eliminate racism, poverty, and war.
You've easily noted that we've had some mixing around. I'd like to thank sincerely the Rhinebeck group that decided that they would give up their seats for the evening in order to accommodate the crowd that we anticipated. And that was really wonderful of you. Thank you very, very much. And so we have Chelsea. Hey, all right. Chelsea is going to give us an introductory to the production by the Rhinebeck High School.
Eminent scholar, intellectual, and founder of the NAACP's The Crisis New publication, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote the following statement in the forethought of his book, The Souls of Black Folk, in 1903. Herein lie buried many things, which if read with patience, may show the strange meaning of being black here in the dawning of the 20th century. This meaning is not without interest to you, gentle reader, for the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. Observers and analysts say that in the 21st century, the problem is still the colored line in America. Let us reflect on the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Even though we have faced difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these deep truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my father is still to be a great nation. This must become true. Thank you.
Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of Christ, longing for His help. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, no, not even in your dreams. You can strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of light, longing for its help. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, no, not even in your dreams. You can strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you.
Every year, Rhinebeck has a fabulous choir. Our keynote speaker is a very, very brave lady. She serves in the New York State Senate. Andrea Stewart Cousins was born and raised in New York, and she, prior to her service in the State Senate, served not only in the City Council of Yonkers, but also in the Westchester County Legislature. She's an advocate for human rights, quality education, accessible and affordable health care, youth development, environmental protections, and making government more open, transparent, and accountable to all our citizens. But to us and the group of the Human Rights Committee and the villages of Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and the town of Mamaroneck, Andrea Stewart Cousins is the godmother of the human rights endeavors in the county of Westchester. My introduction is going to be very brief. I think we're all privileged to have Andrea Stewart Cousins as our keynote speaker this evening, and I await enthusiastically what she has to say to us this evening. I forgot something. And she's a lady of great style.
Thank you, Anne. Good evening, everyone. I do believe I was here many, many years ago and had the opportunity to address this audience. And I'm so happy that this is the very first King celebration I will attend over the weekend and into next week. Because what you do here, what we do here, sets the tone. How many of us, for us here, is this the very first King celebration of the year. Yeah. So what we do here is very important. That's what this is about. And I want to thank Cora for setting the tone so beautifully. I told her she could have done my speech. Next to her was my buddy, George Latimer, and I was saying, George, what would you say? And George wrote me on a little card. He said, we've come a long way, we've got a long way to go. And guess what Cora said? We've come a long way, we've got a long way to go. But that's why we're here. We've come a long way, and we've got a long way to go. This is a family celebration. When Valerie invited me, she made sure I understood that. And I know that the entire commission, because of the great work, would not have it any other way. Because if we don't teach our children, if we don't show them where it is we have to go, how will we expect them to get there? And how will we expect, if we don't teach them, for them to teach the next generation? And how do we not recognize that how we live is essentially what we teach? So if we take the time to bring them to a place like this, to a celebration like this, to get them to prepare to be excellent on such an auspicious occasion, we are teaching them the importance of the occasion. And indeed, there's nothing more important. We are experiencing from our TV sets or tweets or whatever it is, something that once again is devastating to a nation. And once again, we dig into our souls and we remember how fragile we all are. How in any given day, in any given moment, we can make one step or not, and our whole world changes. No matter who we are, how many degrees, how many titles, how big our house is, how much money, how little we have, how poorly we're educated, how impaired we might be, all of us, in the blink of an eye, can have our whole lives changed. And for most of us, that change will be impacted positively or negatively by what someone else does. Whether they extend a hand, whether we're rebuffed, whether we're ignored, whether we're encouraged, whether we're inspired, whether we're shown the right way, whether we're given a blanket, somebody will probably do something that will shape what happens as we go forward. Because yes, as Dr. King said, we are inextricably intertwined. And the power of Dr. King's dream, the power of all of us, above everything else, is our ability to recognize who we are, what we are, and what our capacity to share is and can be. And then the challenge is to do the things that we know will make it better. Not just for us, but for someone else. That's what this life is about. And Dr. King knew that, and that's why he's so special. He understood that. His whole life, in 39 years, encapsulated that message. It's not good enough that I'm educated. It's not good enough that I could be a very comfortable preacher and give inspiring sermons and have my flock listen to me and receive the word of God through me. It's not enough that I'm comfortable and I have beautiful children in a wonderful way. It's not enough because of the poverty, because of the lack of education, because people couldn't vote, because they had no say, because they couldn't even ride on the public transport, and yet they paid into the system, they worked in the system, they built the system, they fought for everything. And it was not shared equally. But he went beyond that because he told everyone that you can't force anyone to do something. And we all know that. We can try, but then you get people who push back and they're resentful. And somehow the lesson isn't learned. So what you do is you tell them, you show them, you tell them, you show them, you teach, you preach, you educate, you prod, you be who you think you want them to be. Nothing more, nothing less. Doesn't matter who you are, that's what you can do. And even when it's painful, because we all know that evolution is painful, even when it's painful, if it is the right thing for the right reason, even if it isn't the right time, there will be a time, and the pain will be well worth the effort, because the pain will be replaced by another inch forward in our humanity. That was Dr. King's message. And as I traveled through my life, I feel particularly honored because I was there before, during, and after. I was born in the 50s. In 1964, black people couldn't even be delegates to the convention, neither the Democrat nor the Republican convention. If you were black, you couldn't be a delegate. And here I am in 2010, and I have a president who's an African American. I'm telling you that so that you realize how quickly things change when we put our attention to it. How quickly. And you're privileged, most of you, like me, to have been able to see the movement. Because it's one thing to hear about it. We have many days that we celebrate that we hear about the person, and we've read about the person, we've studied the person. But for many of us in here, we have lived those times. And we've lived it enough to know that even though we are looking at President Barack Obama, even though there was a huge jump between the period when Dr. King articulated his dream and now, we all know that there's a lot to be filled in. And that's our job. There was the vision, there was the strategy, there was the actuality, and it's all there for you to see that it's beyond the probability. But it's also there for you to see that there's work to do for each of us. A lot of the external work has been done, so now it's the internal work. It's that work that although we might be a little comfortable now, and we'd like to sigh and say, well, look, see, it's all right. There's that little thing inside of us that we all know it's not all right. It's why when I go to the Senate, I fight for quality education with Susie. It's why When I left the Board of Legislators, a Judy there, we worked on children and family services, rescuing children before they were sucked into a life that no matter what, they couldn't get out of. It's why I'm sure all of you have come out tonight, because you know the work has yet to be accomplished. And it's why I stand here to remind you that there is so much we as individuals can do, because I was a kid in the projects, I was a statistic, I was somebody whose parents had not seen the opportunity, though they toiled so very long, and they didn't believe in Dr. King. They thought he was just going to lead people into a place that would get them in more trouble. They believed in doing the best you could with what you had and not really complaining too much. I learned that excellence from my parents, how important it was to make your own way, to believe in yourself, how important it is to have others believe in you. And I learned from Dr. King the tools. And I grew up in a time where I could choose from Malcolm. I could be militant one day, and I could be pacifist one day. I could choose. And even then, I realized that whatever I chose, it wouldn't really be mine until I lived it. So I chose a path that I felt was worth living, a path of public service. Not everybody has to do that, but everybody has to, if we want the world to be better, to do as Dr. King did, teach and preach. Before I leave you, I found one quote that I wanted to share with you. Dr. King said, "Make a career of humanity. You'll make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation for your country, and a better world to live in." Happy King Day.
I'd like to follow up the concept of giving. A suggestion was made to me this afternoon that we pass the hat. And I also received, just before I left this evening, an urgent email from the U.S. Fund for UNICEF for emergency assistance to the children of Haiti. So I said, well, looks like a pretty good church-going group. They're very familiar with. And then I thought I'd bring two. So if you just by sheer mistake miss the first one, here, we'll put another one outside. Now the number one rule is that you have to put something in, and you can't take anything out. So that's going to be here for when you exit. Please dig deep. This is not going to be the first time you're going to be asked for this. We're talking about something that is truly catastrophic. So thank you for your generosity. We get to the next part of our program, which is something I think we've all been waiting for, the presentation of the Dr. Martin Luther King Awards to, first of all, Doris Mother Jackson, who is going to be introduced to us all by the Reverend Richard Allen of the Mamaroneck United Methodist Church. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann, and good evening, friends and neighbors. It's a great night to stay warm inside together. And Senator Stuart Cousins, thank you so much. I bet you can be strong when you need to be strong and kind when you need to be kind. And we thank you for being with us. It wasn't Dr. King who said it. It was that preacher, one of those West Coast preachers, that entrepreneur who built that little crystal cathedral, Robert Schuller. I don't quote Robert Schuller a lot, and it seems kind of an odd place to mention him, but I remembered as I was talking the other day with our honoree, a quote of his just jumped into my head that I thought was entirely appropriate, oddly enough. Find a need and fill it. Find a hurt and heal it. I hadn't thought of that in a long time until I was talking with her. Doris Jackson, affectionately known by family and friends, and after tonight by all of you who don't know it already, we will know her as Mother Jackson. She embodies qualities of compassion, of hope, and of justice that are called forth in that little injunction, find a need and fill it, find a hurt and heal it. A gentle person, although I bet she can be tough and strong too, Senator Stuart Cousins, when she needs to be. Quite kind, generously thoughtful. I asked her how she came by this compassionate spirit of hers that we honor in her tonight. And she smiled and she told me a story from her childhood. Not about a preacher, but about an event. As a young girl, going home in Newark, I think it was, in New Jersey anyway, still in elementary school, she saw a woman on the street struggling to cross a busy intersection, having difficulty. And though she was just a little girl, she stopped her mom. She said, we have to help. We've got to help. We're going to help this person. Mom said, she'll be fine. No, we've got to help. We've got to help. She insisted that the two of them go to this stranger's aid. And she has a twinkle in her eye if she'll tell you that story. Get her to tell you the story sometime. Ever since that fateful moment decades ago, and Mother Jackson, I won't try to say how many decades it was, she has attended to the stranded, attended to the rejected, attended to the lonely, stood with those who are afraid. Of course, we're here tonight because Dr. King embodied a similar kind of ministry, a ministry that she says she's honored to walk in the footsteps thereof. He also was shaped by a family that practiced goodness and preached justice and mercy. And he too looked for needs to fill and hurts to heal. Not just in individuals, but in a society, in a nation, and even in a world. We remember him for many gifts, of course, including his boldness in confronting racial injustice, economic injustice, and Cora, as you so eloquently reminded us, also confronting the injustice of violence in all fabrics of our society. We remember him too because his compassion moved him not only to tears, but his compassion moved him to action. Mother Jackson embodies those same principles of compassionate action. Blessed with eyes that see need and a personal experience with life's economic inequalities, She lives out her compassion in specific actions that give witness to her concern for others. That's a way of life that we may emulate. And quite honestly, when I asked her what she hoped to gain from this, she humbly but boldly said, I hope that other people will come to do and to live in the same way, to giving their compassion a bit of action in their lives. Mother Jackson's grandmother, she told me, cooked for some time at the CAP Center for years. She herself helped her mother run a restaurant. Her vocation led her to managing the baked goods and deli sections of local A&P stores for 27 years, I read. And she used those culinary skills well to express her generosity of spirit with her neighbors. She has prepared meals for the sick and for the grieving. And as one nominating letter noted, brought a Thanksgiving meal to the HRC Worker Center in 2007, an act that helped to build a bridge between the workers and the local community, giving her compassion a real expression. Ms. Jackson's efforts are impressive, assisting members of the community who experience financial need, supplying school supplies and holiday toys and treats for children nearby and far, visiting the sick, the grieving, the lost, offering a kind and inviting heart on our behalf to all in need, making us a community instead of people who just happen to live near one another, and always, always, always putting others ahead of herself. As I say, impressive efforts on their own, but more than that, she is a model of compassion, filling needs, helping build community and hope, healing hurts. If all politics is local, politicians, maybe all expressions of love finally are individual and happen between human beings, one to the other. As a witness of the generous, selfless spirit that so many saw and still see in the Reverend Dr. King, the Larchmont Mamaroneck Human Rights Committee, working this year with members from the Larchmont and Mamaroneck Local Summit, is pleased to present this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Award to Mrs. Doris Jackson, also known affectionately to family and friends, and now to all of us as Mother Jackson. Will you welcome her as she receives this award? Let me give you the award. Let me give you our thanks.
Thank you so much.
God
Thank
bless
you so
and
much.
keep you. Let me
Bless
move
you.
this down for you, too. Is that
Hello, everyone. Wow, look at all these people. The last time I was around all these people, I was about 8 years old. I had won a dance contest, and all the soldiers, the mayor, everybody was there. So proud to be here. First, I have to give honor to God, for he's the reason why I'm here today. To Victory Temple Pentecostal Church, I have to say to my bishop, I don't know if he's here or not, but if he's not here, I still give honor to him and the First Lady. To my pastor, John Patterson, and his wife. To all the churches that are represented here tonight. The mayor and the trustee board. Valerie O'Keefe and her staff, the Hispanic Resource Center, Mariana Bruno, the new director, Zoe, and staff, Mr. Keith the one that called me to give me the news. Thank you, Keith. And the reporters that were so nice to me. This is where I started in New York. David McDaniel Lodge, number 982, Exalt the Ruler, Norman Jackson. Laurie E. Williams Temple, number 787, Loretta Chambers, Barbara Albert. There's a story about a young man that's here tonight. I helped his family when they were in need. Then he disappeared. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I got hurt on my job, and then my leg acted up about 5 years later. And all of a sudden, he appeared. Every time I felt like getting down, falling down, giving up, didn't want to do anything, he said, Miss Jackson, don't do that. You're a strong lady. I would like to, Randolph Scott, wherever you are, please stand up. Thank you. The Mamaroneck Cap Center. Last but not least, my family, the center of my life. Robert, Lavette, and Laura, my children. Stand up. I have two brothers. We were raised up very, very poor, but we stuck together. We were like one. Whatever one did, the other one felt it. I would like to present Harry and Jimmy Jackson, my brothers. My Aunt Annie, she's the last of my mother's sisters. My grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. My nieces and my nephews and my cousins. God bless. As Mr. Allen said, I did have a story about my younger life. I was raised very poorly. I lived in a shack with no running water. We had to go outside in a big tin tub. We had no stove. We had to use a potbelly stove. I don't know if many of you young people know what that is, but believe me, we had it. We didn't have any electricity either. We had to go outside to use the bathroom. Well, like he said, this lady used to come by. I'd be singing and dancing outside the house. Couldn't wait to go outside in the light. I'd be dancing, singing. She walked by every day. We called her the Rouge lady. So I say, Mommy, that lady's out there again. My mother said, that's a nice lady. And I said, okay. She kept coming and kept coming. One day she was stuck in the middle of the road, and I said, Mommy, help her. It was like she just couldn't move. Mommy, please help her. That's when I knew that I had feelings for other people besides my family, because I was raised to love family and respect your elders. So my mother got her out the street. I think she waved a hanky, if I can remember. And she said, thank you, Miss Jackson. So they knew each other by name. So I didn't know her name. Right now, until the day I didn't know it. It was about a year later, a year or two. I can't really tell you how long it was. We moved. We moved into a place where I had a bedroom. We had a stove. We didn't have a TV. We had everything that we didn't have before. My God. It makes me want to cry, but I won't. This lady also gave us a TV. She put a big magnifying glass under the TV, and we could see the picture. And I was like, wow, this is lovely. So we got a knock on the door one day. My mother came to me and said, do you want to be in the talent show? I said, yes. Can I make money? Because we needed money. My mother really scuffled. What a lady she was. So I said, yes. She said, you got to get a partner. I said, I know one across the street. So we got in the show. And we won. When you turn 13, you could no longer be in it. We won every year. which was 5 or 6 years. I met all kind of stars, and I thought I was important. The little bit of money I got from the soldiers, they all came out from Camp Kilmer, Fort Dix, everybody, the mayor, they all came, and they had something like what this lady had, a basket. And we got money, and then they threw money up on the stage, and you had to run for it. So I would dance and dance right to the money and get it. And I couldn't wait to give that money to my mother. Well, I found out later that this lady was the one responsible, the same lady that we crossed the street with. So I learned that things that may be such a small thing to some may mean the world to another. Now I stand before you with great appreciation receiving the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award. What an honor. As we are living today, recession has no sight for cover. It hits us all from all circles of life. My mother and grandmother taught us to never let a person go hungry. And this has been passed down to my children. And I hope continues on and on. It makes my heart happy when I see people breaking bread together. So to our children, continue your education. The more you learn, the more doors will open for you. Remember to reach out and touch, lend a helping hand to the elderly or a person struggling or in the need of guidance. We all needed help in our life one time or another. It's so easy for us to say, I don't care. But the words have no meaning in our world today because it's impossible not to care about something or someone. I can't go on without mentioning that we have reached a time in our lives when we, as a majority, have voted into our office a man of color to lead our country, President Obama, and that shows us and proves to our children that anything is possible if you believe. By keeping this, I now say, God bless you all.
I'd like to ask the 4 granddaughters to come up, please. We have some special presentations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Markia. I'm one of Mother Doris's granddaughters. And I just want to say that my grandmother is an amazing woman who I greatly appreciate and look up to. My grandmother, as we all know, is like a community mother and will do anything for anyone in need. And I just want to tell you, Nana, God bless you and continue doing what you do. And I love you very much.
Good evening, everybody. We would like to congratulate our Nana and to say that we are proud of you, we love you, and we are grateful that you are in our lives.
Why don't you come here? Over here. Now, this is a poem called Colors.
Color words. Color words don't bother me, 'cause what I hear I do not see. Chinese are not yellow, Indians are not red. If you think a white child looks like snow, something's wrong with your head. I'm not black like leather. Black is just a word that stands for me. People come in all colors, so colors don't bother me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims ride, from every mountainside, freedom ring.
And we have more. Would Damon please?
Good evening, everyone. I was asked to sing a little song. Excuse my hoarseness, and my musician couldn't make it, but bear with me. I wrote a couple of words. I feel the unity in the air. I feel the love everywhere. Disappointments all around. So many ups and so many downs. Excuse me, is this mic on? Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I can't hear myself. I stole up. Sorry, here we go. I'm embarrassed I just did that. I'm sorry. Here we go. Woo. All right, I'm gonna sing one of your favorite songs. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. God's eyes are on the sparrow, and I know, and I know, and I know He watches me.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We'd like to get to the next awardee, and that will be introduced by Mary Lee Berridge of the Mamaroneck-Larchmont Human Rights Committee. Why don't we ask?
My spot tonight, after so much wonderful, is also very special. And I cannot do it alone. With the group that I am here for, please come up. 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6, and on. Please come. The Kids for World Health. Good. Whee! More. I'm so glad I wore green. I didn't know, but it's wonderful. My goodness, how marvelous. All right. How often do we get to recognize third graders at this event? Not as performers, and many were wonderful before this time, but as Martin Luther King Jr. Award winners. Yet the students standing here are not exactly third graders, you say, and they'd be the first to agree with you. But they once were. And at that time, they had a dream. In 2001, in Kay Kobe's class, is Kay Kobe? Where's Kay? Right here? Oh, very good. All right, don't stand. You come up here. No, that's all right. All right, wonderful. In Kay Kobe's class at Chatsworth Avenue School, these then 8-year-old students were shocked to learn about the huge numbers of people who were dying of curable diseases in countries too poor to provide life-saving care. These third graders wanted to do something about this. With the steady guidance of their teacher and their own unstoppable enthusiasm, they founded the organization, Kids for World Health. They settled upon 3 goals. 1, to provide education about neglected diseases. 2, to raise funds to support specific assistance. 3, to expand their membership. How well did they do? They have made presentations to Laura Bush at the White House, before national legislators such as Representative Nita Lowey and then Senator Hillary Clinton. They've had press conferences and TV appearances. They have published educational material, which they have distributed in African villages. They have sponsored workshops for doctors and other medical personnel in diagnostics, construction of hospital kitchens, in the procurement of laboratory equipment, and in research for new and more effective medicines. They now have 13 chapters in all the Mamaroneck schools, as well as in France and Nigeria. And they have established 5 pediatric clinics, 2 in Sudan, 1 each in Tanzania, Uganda, and Chad. Marvelous. How especially fitting tonight, 24 hours after a tragic earthquake beyond our borders, that we honor the efforts of these students who chose to care about people beyond theirs. The original founders are still working for the cause, and it's lucky we caught them this year because they are seniors now at Mamaroneck High School. And we will ask some to accept the award on behalf of the organization, and what an honor it is to be able to present them with the Martin Luther King Jr. Organizational Award tonight. Wonderful. That goes to you. You're to give this to the student. And this award, we don't give a plaque in a case like this. We actually give a donation. I wish it could be more, but you can see what a worthy cause it is. And I will present that to Kay as well. Now, I know they have some speeches. Wonderful.
Hello, My name is Sarah Comerford, and on stage with me are the founders of Kids for World Health. Jake Feynman, Emily Warren, and I would like to briefly speak on behalf of our group. Good evening to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Human Rights Committee and to all of you who came out tonight to celebrate one of our history's greatest and most inspiring leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The founders, Kay Kobe, are chapters at each school in the Mamaroneck School District and in Harrison, and the Kids for World Health Board of Directors and Advisory Team, including our mentors, Dr. Jean Janin and Dr. Price Samara, wish to thank you for the distinguished honor of receiving as an organization the Martin Luther King Jr. Award for 2010.
We acknowledge and appreciate the many people, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who served others through their mission to seek justice in our world and for our world's people. Dr. King once said, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality." We too refuse to accept that view of humanity.
Kids for World Health had its roots in this community, fueled by the passion for justice and the belief that all lives are important. Since we began, we have always relied on and appreciated the support of our devoted teacher and advisor, Kay Kobe. Also, the Larchmont Mamaroneck community, the World Health Organization, and every person who has shared our ideals. Through our recent invitation to speak at the International Scientific Council for Sleeping Sickness in Kampala, Uganda, and through Ms. Kobe's visit to Luwala Village in Uganda, where our 4th pediatric clinic was opened, we can now speak honestly from the real stories of real people, from one forgotten place among many with whom we share our common themes of humanity. Sister Betty, the director of nursing at Luwala Hospital, told Ms. Kobe on her recent visit, please tell the students that we are grateful. Grateful not only for what they have given our patients, but grateful for giving us hope and the understanding that someone in this world has remembered us, that we are not forgotten, and that progress exists here in our village with the new building for our children. Please tell them. Ms. Kobe brought back this message to us, and in its honor, we ask that you too remember our brothers and sisters in Africa. Thank you.
There is a wonderful video which highlights the accomplishments of this organization, and it's going to be broadcast tonight at 10 o'clock after this program on LMC-TV, and will be, I promise, repeated. Thank you very much. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Now, you don't for a moment think that there won't be some politicians coming up, right? We get to the part of the program where different jurisdictions have issued proclamations to congratulate our awardees this evening. And to tell us all about that will be our member of our Human Rights Committee, Kay Francis Richards. Okay.
Good evening. I'd like to say congratulations to the honorees. And we're very fortunate this evening to have some of our elected officials in the office, in the auditorium with us. They've come to share in honoring and showing appreciation to the honorees this evening for the contributions that they have made to our community. I'm going to ask the following officials to please come to the stage to present their proclamations. Mark Raisman, representative from Congressman Lowy, our state senator, Mrs. Oppenheimer, state assembly, Mr. Latimer, county legislature, Mrs. Myers, our Mamaroneck town supervisor, Mrs. O'Keefe, our Mamaroneck village mayor, Mr. Rosenblum, and our Larchmont village mayor, Mrs. Feld. Will you please come to the stage?
I think that George Latimer is an expert at this. And he says never, ever read a proclamation. And I'm sure that Senator Oppenheimer and Senator Stewart Cousins agree with that. So all I can say is we have proclamations from the town of Mamaroneck, and we're going to proclaim today Mother Jackson Day and Kids for World Health Day in the town of Mamaroneck. And they can bring the proclamations home and read them by themselves. That's from the town of Mamaroneck.
And I would just like to add that this is also Mother Jackson Day and Kids for World Health Day in the county of Westchester.
My name is Mark Raifman, and Congresswoman Lowy regrettably couldn't be here tonight, but she wants to thank you all for coming out. She's sorry that she missed such a special event, and offer her congratulations to Mother Jackson and the student organization for their great accomplishments and contributions to our society. So thank you.
Now, we have the mayor of the village of Larchmont, Ms. Feld, and the mayor of the village of Mamaroneck, Mr. Rosenblum, and they're both going to jointly declare something.
It's going to be a shocker. It's Martin Luther King Day in the village of Larchmont. But I also want to add one other point about Haiti. For those of you who haven't gone on any of the websites, you can go on either UNICEF or the American Red Cross or go to any of the network news websites and find ways to make contributions or donate resources, because and Mayor Bloomberg did one for New York City. There's a whole mayor's coalition that's getting together to raise money and to send help. So on behalf of the village of Larchmont, I'd ask you all to do that. Thank you.
And in the spirit of consolidation and the message of family, it is also declared in the village of Mamaroneck also. And as far as contributions, you can always do cash right over here. Congratulations.
Now we have Senator Oppenheimer.
Well, I'd like to declare these two groups, this wonderful Mother Jackson and the wonderful young people, they really should have it declared worldwide, because if we emulated what they did and are doing, I think this world would be a whole better place. So I just have a bunch of stuff, too.
Now, I guess Susie was our penultimate speaker, but Mr. Latimer, who's the expert at these things, is going to be our ultimate speaker.
Thank you, Valerie. I have nothing new to say, but I'm going to say something anyway. Very briefly, I had a chance this August to be in Memphis, Tennessee, and I had a chance to go to the Lorraine Motel, the site where Dr. King was assassinated. And as I stood there, and I was at the balcony, if you've been there, it's a very moving thing. There's a whole civil rights museum. I walked out of there. It frankly bummed me out for a while. But I realized when I come to an event like this, and I see Mother Jackson, I see the Kids for World Health, and I see the people in this community, white, and black, and Latino, and Asian in this community, all together, I am reminded that Dr. King isn't dead, he's alive. He's alive through all of us here. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we've got a lot of relatives of Mother Jackson here, and I don't know if any of them are cabinet makers or carpenters, but they're going to have to build her like a new room for all the awards she got.
I'd like to add, we also have proclamations going to Mother Jackson and to the Kids for World Health from our speaker, Senator Cousins.
That wasn't that bad, was it? This whole evening owes a great deal of gratitude to the Emelin Theater. And I'd like you to take a quick look at the back of your program. This is an advertisement, bold and plain, for a program that is coming up that I think will be of great interest. It's the Dixie Hummingbirds, and anyone who knows anything about music knows that they're the real deal. I recommend that you attend and support this wonderful community organization. We owe them a big debt of gratitude for their generosity in allowing us to be here this evening. Note how we're following the program. And we're on the last page. We've heard from Rhinebeck. Now it's time to hear from Mamaroneck High School. And I introduce someone who's known to many of us, Shannon Turner Porter, faculty advisor to the Multicultural Club, who will tell us about their program this evening. Thank you.
Good evening. It's interesting because some of the words you will hear from us follow the themes that have been repeated already in the program. So it's very interesting. The program has really come together, and there are a lot of similarities there. Again, we're here to honor Dr. King. I have representatives from our Multicultural Club. On Friday, we have our huge Martin Luther King Assembly. And if you'd like to come, please do so.
I have a dream that we're gonna work it out, that we're gonna work it out.
I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall reveal, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out the mountain of despair, of stone, of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we'll be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with a new meaning.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's bride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the Highland Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountains of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we overcome freedom, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men, white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
I have a dream that we're gonna work it out, that we're gonna work it out. I have a dream that we're gonna work it out.
And now, and at this time, we will have our multicultural singers join a tune called There's Hope.
Fabulous, huh? Now, if you're wondering where those words came from, that I have a dream, it's in the program. the entire speech, 3 pages of it. I condensed it. And so for term papers, all you high schoolers, we have the original source right here. Fabulous. Thank you very, very much. Winding down, we also have a very important part of our program. I'm going to introduce a member of our committee who is also well known to the rest of the community, Keith Yiser. Keith.
Good evening. The presentation that I'm making tonight, I'm sorry to say that the honoree is not here. She probably has an illness in her family because her mother has been sick and she's been caring for her. But the person I'm going to talk about is Ms. Beverly Brewer Villa, who, as a person growing up in Mamaroneck, I met Ms. Villa in 1971. She came to Mamaroneck Cap as a youth counselor, and being a high school student then, I was also president of the youth corps. And Ms. Villa came as a person who was strong. She replaced a gentleman named Mr. John Hawkins. And being a member of the neighborhood youth corps then, we were very strong in terms of Hawk, as we used to call him, because he was a mentor to the young African-American men. He used to tell us things that we needed to do to become strong and become very viable in our community. But when Ms. Villa came, we said, we don't want this woman here. And as a result, but she did something that was very unique. She presented with us and to us as youth responsibility, self-determination, and things to make us grow. And after a while, we kind of forgot about Hawk. But this lady has been in the Mamaroneck community, I would say from October 1971 to June 2009. And it's amazing because she took over as the director in 1974, I believe. And she stayed in that position up until, like I said, June of this year. And as a result, all those years that you see Mamaroneck growing, and there's many of us that came through, the Neighborhood Youth Corps came through CAP, Center. I would say like this, we stand upon the shoulders of a very, very powerful woman in our community. And I'm sorry she's not here, but I would be very remiss not to give this presentation. So in absentia, I'm going to read this. It says, in recognition of and appreciation for her devoted and service to the community from the tri-municipality of the Village of Larchmont, from the Village of Mamaroneck and the Town of Mamaroneck Human Rights Committee, we present this. It's a recognition, and I would just say it like this, from the heart, because Ms. Villa had been a confidant of mine for the longest, and I'm sorry she's not here, but she really deserved this, and she walked away kind of quietly, but she is a cornerstone in our community. She's been replaced by Ms. Gisela Marroquin, who's now the executive director, but if you know or you ever see Ms. Villa, she's a very, very, very strong individual, and we would be very remiss not to honor her tonight. So in recognition to Ms. Villa, we give her this, and I will make sure she get it tomorrow.
Damon? Okay. Okay. That's all right. Okay. Okay. Okay, I have a few. Okay. We have a few. Okay.
shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Everyone, verse 3, we are victory. We're unto the victory. We're unto the victory. We're unto the victory someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are on the victory someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
I'd like to thank Andrews for pulling us all together here on behalf of the Tri-Municipal Committee. You can tell from the way she talks that she comes from Kennedy land. So thank you. God bless you all. We'll see you next year. Bye. Thank you, St. John and Paul, committee members, everybody, senators, dignitaries. Bye.